Hello, FightFit family. Welcome to this Easter Monday special. We've got the great man in the studio today, Tony Torcasio. Tony is an Australian champion in kickboxing and in powerlifting, fought in 3 different weight classes for kickboxing for Australian championships, and is currently training to compete in a powerlifting competition on Thursday,
This Thursday,
where he aims to break another Australian record. He's a man who absolutely loves a belt. So, Tony, let's just get straight into it.
just greedy,
Greed. Loves the gold. Where did this all start for you, this journey?
Okay, maybe go back to like 1981, 82. I was a 17-year-old kid. I used to catch the tram and head into a gym, head into a martial arts academy known as the Bob Jones Corporation. It was Zendo Kai Karate. So I started karate training. So karate training for close to a year, or just over a year, I should say. I attained the rank of brown belt, but that really wasn't my thing. I was more fascinated with the kickboxers going. There was kickboxing going on there. There was a gentleman by the name of Paul Fifield training to fight the United States champion by the name of Mark Costello. He was the US middleweight champion, and I didn't know who Paul was. I knew of him, and I was just in awe of his training. So when he came back from creating history, he became Australia's first ever Australian fighter to beat an overseas opponent. I introduced myself to him, and I told him I'd love to have a kickboxing fight one day. Just want to have this one fight, and if you can guide me through the preparation, I'd be feel honored, And he took me under his wing, so I'm proud to say I guess his protege. And away we went, and with his guidance and support, I had this first fight, and then before you know it, had a second fight, and we had a third fight, fourth fight, 5 fights, and then I was 5-0. I was had five wins under my belt.
Why fighting though? Of all the things you could have done, you could have played soccer, or you could have done many things. Why fighting?
Yeah, I guess to be honest, look, I grew up in Coburg, which is here in Melbourne. It's in the northern suburbs, and probably a bit of a rough place in the 1970s growing up. And I thought I thought that would be something I'd like to do. Bit of fitness, and learn how to fight.
Yeah. So that's what kind of got you into it,
eh?
Yeah. And it is bloody good fitness.
Yeah. I mean, look, another thing I'll share. Look, as growing up in teenage years, you stick by your mates, and there was a situation once where I'll always stick up for my mates, and one of my mates was in trouble, and as it worked out, there was a punch on between a group of guys from Coburg and a group of guys from Brunswick, and I learned quick smart that I better learn how to fight because it's pretty rough world out there. And what got me through was fear. The fact that I feared going home for busted face, what my dad would do to me, or whatever it was. I managed to handle myself, got myself out of it, And if Joe Nader, you'd be watching this. Joe Nader is probably one of Australia's biggest kickboxing promoters. He runs Power Play Promotions. Joe was on the opposite side. I'm so glad we became friends because you were pretty scary as a 16-year-old.
That's unreal.
So basically, there's a bit of an element there. So I guess
Well, often that is the case with people who do get into fighting, is that for whatever reason, growing up, they've had to learn the skill, or they've had to adapt to that for whatever reason. So it doesn't surprise me that, especially Coburg back in the day.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough place, but overall, I got along with everyone, so everything's fine.
You kind of found a home in fighting, I guess, and in kickboxing.
Well, it's martial arts, and it taught me to have respect, and but certainly one thing it did teach me is kept me humble, and I anyway. So 5 kickboxing fights later, all of a sudden, I'm in line for a shot at a Victorian title. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here I am, and
you're getting trained by Paul Fifield at this stage.
I'm pretty proud to say, I was initially, my very first fight was a gentleman named Les Hurd, and Les introduced me to Paul because he highly recommended Paul to train, and away we went. So Les helped out in my first fight with Paul, and then after that, with Les, through Will, he asked me to thought it was best to train Paul, and away we went. So 5 fights down, we fought for a Victorian title, we won that. And so a lot goes on. So you fire the questions, and I'll
absolutely. So you're training under Paul Fifield at this stage. What kind of a training regimen are we talking? Because we all know that he's a pretty tough trainer. What did he have you doing in the gym?
Conditioning was one aspect of Paul's training that most fighters who train on the Paul, when it comes to fight time, you know they're going to be fit, because Paul's fanatical with making sure everyone's conditioning. You got to be fit. 3-round fight, whether it's a 3-round fight, 5-round fight, 10-round fight, because going back in the day, Victorian titles were 5 rounds, national titles were 8 rounds, Commonwealth titles were 10 rounds, world titles were 12 rounds. So
it's no joke.
So it's no joke. You got to be serious. But in amateur fights, which I had earlier on, those 5 fights, they're only 3 rounders, but you cannot afford to lose a round. 3 rounds, you lose 1 round.
Yeah,
you've got to work extremely hard. And you also, I'll talk about the old days, is you have to throw a minimum of 8 kicks per round. And if you didn't throw 8 kicks per round, you actually get penalized on scoring. So I remember one particular fight, I'm pretty sure I won the first round, but the second round I kept hearing in the crowd chanting out, screaming out, "Tony, kick, Tony, kick, Tony, kick, kick." I looked up and I realized I had only made 4 kicks that round, but I'm pretty sure my opponent didn't make many kicks either himself, because it was becoming a slugfest. We just punched on. So out of desperation, I managed to score a knockdown. The bell went, so that saved me a little bit. But then my Paul said to me, "You need a big round now. You need a big round to win this." So I went out there and gave it everything I had. We had a big round. We won. But back then, if you didn't make your minimum kicks per round, you would be penalized in the scoring, because if you only made 6 kicks, the most, and you win the round, the most you can be is 8 points.
Yeah,
because you lost 2 points. So yeah. So
did you end up making the full kicks for the round?
Oh, not in the second round, no. But I scored a knockdown, so that they gave me a couple of points, and then but he didn't make his kicks either. So, but I had to win the last round big to make sure, leave no doubt, or try and knock him out. But didn't. So anyway, that's and also back then we would wear long pants. So the norm would be long black pants. Some people would wear colorful pants. Yeah, I was one of those guys who wear colorful pants.
I've seen that in the old school UFC fights as well. And so they'd have long pants on. These days they just don't wear much at all these days.
So long pants was the thing. And I remember seeing a guy from Queensland. He had these karate pants on, and he had question marks all over it. And I thought that was pretty cool. He was actually a very good kicker, and question marks on. So not sure what sort of kick he'd throw. Would it be a spinning back kick? Would it be a front kick? I thought that was cool. So I thought I'd try one better. So I actually went short. I actually wore shorts for my Victorian title fight. And we weren't meant to wear shorts back then. We were told to wear long pants. I didn't tell anybody. Only my trainer knew. So I came out with bright yellow shorts. So I had to break the rules. And anyway, all good. The fight finished. Nobody made a big deal about it. But I got a phone call from Bob Jones himself. He wanted to see me in his office. And I thought I was in trouble but basically he was telling me he's bringing out his own range of shorts for JC. If I can bother. Of course I can. So shorts. So I think I've been told I'm the first person to wear shorts in the sport of kickboxing. At the time we were in long pants.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were a trendsetter, the trailblazer.
Trendsetter, yeah.
That's why they're all doing it now.
Bright yellow. That was not conservative color.
Sometimes you got to be a bit of a peacock.
Yeah.
And what about the sort of mental side of training as well? How important was it for you to really sort of hone in and get your mental game right?
Yeah, look, if you've done the hard work, it's so important to get your mindset right and believe in yourself, because confidence is such a powerful thing, and it'll get you through, But if you haven't done the hard work, you can try and bluff yourself. you'll be exposed in the ring.
So it's one of those sports, isn't it, where there's really nowhere to hide. You can't blame your teammates.
No. When the bell goes, you are on your own. If you haven't done the hard work, you've got to really sort of use your experience to try and pace the fight. But if you're up against someone who really, really wants to win, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And when you get to the ring and you're engaging in a fight, did you feel like at the time your mental game was really strong, or was there still a lot of doubts that you sort of had to navigate your way around?
There's always doubts. There's always, of course, doubts. I mean, especially coming up the ranks. You will. I had a stage where all of a sudden I was 6 fights, 6 wins, and you start putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. Now I'm expected to win every single time. So I don't think getting hurt was never a concern. I think it was more just the fact of losing after a while. So the fear of losing and not performing your best,
especially at that stage when the goal starts to become a reality, and you've gone, like, geez, I'm actually pretty bloody good at this. I'm not bad at all, fighting for titles and all this sort of stuff.
So, at that stage, I had a bit of a break. I started doing throwing some weights around, a bit of bodybuilding, and yeah, and then an opportunity came. And then I made a comeback again. I made a comeback
Yeah.
to the fight game, and we had a kick. Away we went, started fighting again, and before we knew it, we got a shot at an Australian. Actually, I got a shot at an Australian title, and
Yeah.
away we went. Yeah.
So how many fights had you had by the time you started fighting for titles?
Uh,
Australian titles, that is.
okay, as an amateur, it was 6 amateur fights, and then we went to the other fights. So probably 12 to 15.
Yeah.
12 to 15. Yeah.
And do you remember that training camp leading up to that first shot at the Australian title, and then all around that fight as well?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I've still got good memories of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Was it a big event, and was it nerve wracking for you?
It was tough. No, it was, yeah. I mean, I had to train. I had to be in my physical best because I wasn't a very skillful fighter. So I needed to apply pressure. So fitness was a very important aspect of my training, and I had to be aggressive and manhandle my opponents. And
yeah.
So yeah.
And you were obviously sparring a few times a week. Was there many sort of aspects of sparring that you liked or didn't like? What were the pros and cons of that?
No, sparring is a necessity. You need to talk about timing and understanding reflexes and conditioning too, and that's you will get exposed in sparring because you can't hide in the ring, especially
Definitely.
So that's just part of the game, and
And you had a pretty strong team around you. Who were your biggest influences, would you say, whilst you were sort of coming up?
Yeah, well, I'm glad I was part of the Paul Fifield team. Yeah, Paul's mindset was so strong, and I think. And he cared so much for all his fighters. I think it just flowed on. Everybody
when you say he cared for his fighters, you mean outside of fighting as well? Outside of the ring?
Yeah. Inside the ring, outside the ring.
You felt like you could come to...
If a fighter wasn't 100%, he wouldn't be fighting. So some trainers would... I'm not going to make accusations here, but I've seen it. Fighters get thrown in the ring. They're probably not really ready to... And they can get hurt. And it's not a sport where... It's a sport that you can get seriously hurt if you're not prepared. So
and you felt that Paul always had your best interests in mind.
Absolutely, no. And if you've done all the training, you're right. It's fun time. If it's fight time, you shouldn't be. Yeah, you should be fine. If you get through the training, we're fine.
Was he the sort of coach to give a few sprays here and there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Would he blow the hair back a few here and there?
Yeah, I copped a big spray one day, and I deserved it too. It's funny today, but going back at the time, I was loading up on my opponents, and I could hear him in the background calling out, "Tony, pull up! Tony, pull up!" And I was just getting excited. I had a big fight coming up, and Australian title fight. That's fine.
No, it's good.
Good.
Yeah.
And I could constantly keep hearing Paul calling out my name. And then next opponent came in, and I'm just, I shouldn't have, but I was loading up on everybody and hurting my opponents. When these guys were actually coming in to help me, here I am being anyway.
Yeah. Then
Paul jumps in the ring, which I thought, fair enough. We've sparred before. I didn't think much of it at the time, but my God, he turned it on. It was it was a clinic. He actually just I got beaten to a pulp.
Really?
Yeah. He's kicked and punched. Yeah. So anyway, at the end, he had to spray at me, and he basically told me why he was disappointed in me in front of everybody, and all I could do was apologize because he was 100% the right, And these guys came in to train and help me, and here I am loading up everybody. But I was just so excited. I had a big fight coming up. I was going to, So,
you felt like that was a calculated sort of thing for him to do by giving you that spray in front of everybody?
Absolutely, yeah. And so I could have just walked away and not come back again, and which some people did, but I came back the next day, put my head down, put my bag down, jumped in the train. Everything was back to normal.
Yeah.
I apologized for my actions, and where we went, started training again.
And he was just young. That as well.
Well,
got back on the horse.
I mean, that's just But what was funny though that night was it was St. Valentine's Day, and I went out to straight after that sparring session. I went out to catch my girlfriend at the time I was seeing. And when I rocked up to her house, my face was pretty mangled.
Really?
It didn't go down too well, no. It didn't go down too well. No.
So she hadn't quite come to terms with what you were doing with yourself.
No.
So how would you compare the scene back in the day to the scene now, the kickboxing scene?
Well, today everything's so accessible. Touch of a finger, you could be on your way to training and learn a conditioning drill. You could learn a combination drill. You could have online coaching today, where back in the 80s,
you can learn a lot of stuff just on YouTube, really.
Today you can,
Absolutely.
And people get a lot of exposure. Like it it was just a different time, but I wouldn't change a thing. That was. I mean, we are where we are today thanks to what we've been through, and
Absolutely.
I wouldn't change anything. No.
How do you sort of, when you look at the current sort of climate in the martial arts world, there's a lot of trash talking that goes on and all of that sort of back and forth. How do you see that sort of stuff? Was that something that you ever engaged in yourself?
No, I wasn't really trash talking. No. I mean, when the bell goes, I do my talking. The real fighters just rock up on the day and put it together on the ring, but some people can get away with it.
Yeah.
There's some great examples over the years. People get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't my thing. No, that wasn't my thing.
So that sort of, you sort of stopped fighting at age of around 30, was it?
Yeah. 29. I stopped fighting 29. Yeah. So at that stage, my last fight was meant to be for the Australian welterweight title, which would have been pretty cool. It would have been my four different weight classes for Australian titles, but the fight fell through. Somebody got filled in on short notice, and I will go back to the fear element we spoke about earlier. This particular fight, this young kid who put his hand up to fight, he only had about 6 fights. So he wasn't really well known. So for me, it was like I put pressure on myself. I better knock this guy out. I'm too experienced for this guy. He shouldn't be in the same with me. So I put all this pressure on myself, and basically on the night, as much as I tried, to the kid's credit, he actually he survived the whole 4. It was only 4 rounds. If it had been any longer, I mean, I was more suited to fight. I was trained for an 8-round fight against a tough guy by the name of Ronald Dew from Queensland. It didn't happen. He was one tough guy too. I knew I was in for a tough fight. So my preparation, I was at a pretty high level, and this kid jumps in, and to his credit, he lasted the 4 rounds. I mean, I won a unanimous decision, but to me, and because I didn't have any fear in me that night, I think that and all I wanted to do was just knock. I think you're more focused when you have fear. Fear makes you really alert, super alert.
When you didn't have that, you couldn't be constructive with that.
No, I just wanted to try to land one hard punch, and in the end, Paul and I had a chat, and I said, to be honest, if I'm struggling, like there's no point going on any further. My fighting style wasn't going to go anywhere, and so I decided.
So did you guys have a hard chat about that?
Yeah, and then we decided to call it a day, and so I was 29, had about 18 fights at the time. I think it was. Fought for some Australian titles, made some good friends. Call it a day, and that was it. Yeah. So
Before we move on from the fighting aspect of it, so just couple of years down the line, you're 46 now.
No, I'm 54 now.
I mean, sorry, when you did your later fight.
Okay, the comeback fight.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Okay.
So when you were 46,
16 years later.
16 years later.
Okay,
You've got a lot going for you. You're successful in your career. You still maintain the good looks. What possesses you at that stage of your life to then go and pursue another fight?
Yeah, I had close friends of mine really have a chat to me about that. So what are we doing this for? So I got an opportunity to make a comeback. I was at 46 years of age, hadn't fought for 16 years. To me, it was too good an opportunity not to take for me, as I looked at it.
How did the process happen? Okay, well, where was the seed planted for you to have another fight?
Okay, well, the promoter, his name is Tarek Solak. I've known him for a long time. I actually fought Tarek Solak many years ago. We were actually a main event fight, and on our undercard, we had the great Tarsus Petrides and Stan the Man having their first fights. Yeah. Anyway, we fought that night, and we've maintained friends. We get along really well, and we had occasionally have a sparring, a training session together, and he would throw it up. Any chance of getting you to fight again, blah, blah, blah. And anyways, I get this phone call on a Saturday night, one night, I remember it, and he basically said to me, Tony, I'm going to have this show on June the 9th. I'd love to have you on my show. Think about it, mate. But
was this already sort of circulating in your mind?
Well, I was always training, and I was always pretty.
You felt like you still might have.
I still might have it. Blah, blah, blah. So by committing to this, I realized how serious I'm going to have to commit. I'm going to have to really commit, and I was prepared for. I was expecting a hard training program, 12 and 9 weeks ahead, and I certainly got it because everybody's job in the gym was to give me a hard time, and I don't think I hardly won a round of sparring. Everybody was just too quick for me. You don't want to admit it as you get older.
You've got blokes like Cameron Eyes and Eric Diamondstein to spar against in the peak
Mullen,
of their powers.
It's quite a few of the trainers here. Troy Bolt, and all the boys, they did what they were supposed to do, was give me a hard time, So as you get older, like I said, your recovery is not as good. Your reflexes will let you down. But I was so determined I was going to make it. And I just kept on giving my best I didn't have not one bad training session. I may have got beaten up in training, but they weren't bad training sessions.
You made the most of them.
I made the most of them. I really gave back. I came good at the end, the last couple of weeks. I think I came really good. I turned all that sparring around. I think I was in the best shape of my life. I got hurt in training. I got super conditioned, but we had to be smart too. I couldn't overtrain because my age. Paul made sure I got sufficient rest.
Be training smarter.
I had to do everything right. My supplementation had to be right. My food intake had to be right. My rest period had to be my sleep. We make sure we tick all the boxes. I was never going to get a second chance at this. This was only one chance. This was only one fight only. I wasn't interested in a career. I had a career. This was just a one fight. So I'll be honest. Come fight time, I would have beat anybody.
Yeah,
I was that. Yeah, I did everything right. My training was right, and as it worked out, my opponent wasn't much of a challenge. He came out hard at the start, and then, I landed a few hard shots and I knocked him out in the end of the first round.
Not to be underestimated though, because he was still a professional opponent as well, and
probably had a good record.
Yeah,
but I mean when. Came out hard. I mean, we expected that. I thought it would go. I thought it would definitely go into the later rounds. I thought it was going to win the first 2-3 rounds. So I wasn't going to be bothered if he won the first couple of rounds because I still believe I really wanted to win that fight because it was a one-off.
I can imagine that you would have, because when you take on an opportunity like that, in the back of your mind somewhere, you'd have to be thinking, what's everybody else sort of thinking of this, of me taking this fight at this age? There might be some people who might have laughed at that sort of thing. Yeah. And to be able to go out there, win that fight and prove everybody wrong must have been an unbelievably
it was more feeling. For myself. There would have been some quiet times. I mean, probably Paul would know and my wife would know. There were some times there when things just weren't going to plan. Like I'm getting beat up in the gym. Why am I doing this? I mean, good example, this is quite funny, was I would normally drop my kids off at school in the morning before my run. And, I might have a black eye occasionally. My wife would come home and say to me, I saw such and such today, and she's asking, why on earth would you be fighting? You're obviously not very good. You're always banged up. You're always banged up. So why would you be fighting? So I'm hearing this, and friends of mine saying,
I've had that a few times. I'll roll into work or uni or something, and I've got a few black eyes, and people are like, oh, you're obviously getting beaten up, and you're kind of like, I should have seen the other bloke.
But anyway, the good side to it, I did come good at the end. I put it all together on the end. I couldn't have done it without such a great support team, because my corner was legendary. I had Paul, I had Sam Greco, I had Tosca Petrides, Paul Slawinski in the back. I surrounded myself good positive role models to get me through it, and it was tough. It was a tough prep, but we got through it.
Awesome.
Fight night was good.
So if you had to look back on all of the people that you've met through your career, who is the best fighter you've ever met, or the best fighter you've ever come up against or trained with, and then who's the toughest?
Wow. Okay. Internationally, I was a big fan of Benny the Jet Urquidez. Okay. Back in the early 80s. Fighter called Ramon Decker. He was, and Rod Carmen, like those guys there were absolutely awesome. In Australia, talking Melbourne, Paul Feifel, for me, he was the complete package.
Yep.
Conditioning, smart, intelligent fighter, which I wasn't. But anyway, he was. But still getting the sound same. There's some great fighters in Australia. With George Zachariah was one strong hell fighter. Percy Lanciana. There was Dave Hedgecock. We had some tough fighters in Australia. That was early on in the 80s. Today, Sam Greco, Stan Longanides. I mean, we had Mike Zambides coming out here, fight many times. He came from Greece. He was a very, very impressive fighter. So we've had some great fighters here come through. Yeah,
absolutely. But do you follow it much these days?
Not as much as I used to. No. I've got my family comes first. I've got my family time is really where it's all at these days. Yeah, I mean, I still love what I do. I teach a few classes, at FightFit Collingwood. And
so you're not watching UFC religiously or
no.
I
did watch the Conor McGregor Khabib fight. I think
that
was pretty. That was the first time I ever put a UFC fight on, and I scored a beauty. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, but I still love straight boxing. I love K1 fighting, straight kickboxing. Yeah.
Do you think that if you had have sort of started fighting in in the modern day, do you think you maybe would have given mixed martial arts a go and done something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or wrestling, or tried to put it all together?
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
So
do you think
I'm kind of glad I missed it.
Yeah.
Kind of glad I missed it. That's pretty brutal. And yeah, looking back now, because all I care about is being a family man now. So yeah, but most likely I probably would have gone down that path, because kickboxing was the full contact kickboxing. Wow, that was the thing to do.
Yeah. And then if you want to sort of step it up a notch these days, then you're jumping into that mixed martial arts arena. It's pretty scary stuff.
Pretty scary stuff. Yeah.
So when did you sort of start to get really into? So obviously now you've won Australian championships in powerlifting. When did you start to sort of get into lifting?
Okay, powerlifting. 2015. I set up a display of the products I endorse and recommend, which is the Max's range, at a bodybuilding meet, and I was just taken in by the camaraderie going on between this powerlifting competition. And before you know it, I was signed up to do the next the next comp.
Yeah,
I got to meet a lot of people that day. But an old friend of mine, his name is Barry Murray. He's my coach for powerlifting. He's guided me through all my comps pretty much. And the owner of the gym there is Ange Galati. He's won multiple world titles. He's just an amazing, strong powerlifter himself. So within 3 months, I competed in a deadlift only event, and I set a goal to lift 100 kilo more than my previous best in the gym.
Yeah.
So something I've never been super strong. So I thought that was a good goal. And as it worked out, we were only 10 kilo off the Australian record. So we trained for the Australian record, and when I put my mind to something, I'll get it. So we trained, and we got it. So we scored. On my very first comp, I set a new Australian record in the deadlift event.
That's unreal.
And then another 9 comps followed after that. So I've competed 10 times, and I'm proud to say in my age group, so in the 50 to 54 age group, and in my weight class, usually under 75 kilo, of every competition, I've managed to do a personal best every comp.
Yep.
My first 9 comps, and all Australian records. And the very last comp was with a new federation called under GPC. I came very close. I was 5 kilo off, equaling their squat record and their deadlift record. So I was 5 kilo off on both ones. Didn't quite get there on that 10th one, but that's going to happen. That's going to happen this year.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what's coming up for you on Thursday then.
Okay, so I'll go back a little bit. I had a bit of bad luck last year. I developed an injury, which when I look back over my last 30 years, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had anything really major. So I developed a hernia. So I went through the whole process of operation. So I had full surgery, and my surgeon was amazed how quickly I'd recovered. So he gave me 3 months to not do anything, and I listened to exactly what he said. I actually waited 4 months before I actually started lifting again. I made sure I was. So it just goes to show that if you eat well, live a healthy lifestyle, the rewards are amazing. Like he couldn't believe for my age how quickly I was okay. So I've been back in training the last 2 months. So I'm planning to compete this Thursday, and my goal is to have a crack at the Australian records for the 3 lift event. So it's a squat, then there's a bench press, then the deadlift, and so that's the beauty about this competition is it's in the it's a heavier weight class. It's the 82 kilogram division. So I usually compete under 75. So I've been eating as much as it's been great. Normally I'd have to diet to make the weight class.
Yeah,
bit of dieting. So that's this week. So Capo Federation this Thursday. So April's Capo. In June, I've set my sights on WRP World Raw Powerlifting Federation. I want to have a crack at breaking one of those Australian records. And then the one I really want is GPC, which is going to be in August. That's the competition I did late last year. It was the only one I didn't do a personal best in or claim an Australian record. I want one of their Australian records because I love titles. I'm reading.
I can kind of tell.
Yeah. So that's the plan. So Capo followed by WRP, then GPC. With this WRP, this is how it works in powerlifting. You may set an Australian record on the day. Last year, I competed in this World Raw Powerlifting Federation. I set an Australian squat record on the day, which was pretty cool. I received a certificate a couple of weeks later, beautiful certificate. Tony Torcasio, 160 kilo back squat. It was under 75. Then I looked on the internet, and a week later, a guy from New South Wales beat it by 0.5.
Oh, you're kidding.
So, yeah, that's what happens. Like it's a national competition.
By 0.5.
By 0.5.
Oh,
yeah. So I've got to wait till June to get a chance to
rectify
to
that.
redeem
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but that's how it works. Yeah, so you win Australian record, and at the same time, there's somebody in another state maybe, is up. That's all up for grabs.
So how do you continuously defied the odds throughout your life? What sort of tips would you give to people who are aiming to really sort of break through their barriers or their, whether it be physical or mental limiting beliefs? What advice would you give to those people?
My wife and I, we both we're big believers in personal bests. Our kids went through little athletics, and that was not negotiable with our kids. My wife made sure that they all little athletics, and we think that. And
absolutely should not be negotiable.
No, it's not negotiable. My wife was pretty. Yeah, she's amazing. I talked about my wife after. She's absolutely amazing. But
have to get her on the show.
So she's not for the
camera shy.
She doesn't want to make a big fuss about herself. She likes
fair enough.
She's quite achiever, but yeah, it's amazing. But so we talk about personal bests, and what I love about little athletics and kids is they get acknowledged when they reach a milestone. They may reach 50 personal bests, and they'll be acknowledged. And might reach 100 personal bests, they'll be acknowledged. And I just love the fact that the kids are striving for personal bests, and if as parents, if we can guide them and implement that in everyday life situations and being improving, whether it's your maths at school, whether it's an assignment you've got to do, try to get a better score. So I think little athletics is a great way to introduce that to kids. And my wife and I,
so it's from a young age, sort of starting to implement that idea of like pushing yourself and achieving bigger and bigger goals.
It's funny I say that because I didn't go through little athletics with my parents. No. But having said that, my father wanted me to be good at whatever I chose to do, be good at it, make sure I'm good at it. Yeah. He used to come and watch me fight, and he was there that night I got knocked out. And I don't think I've talked about that, but there was one particular night I had a very bad knockout, and he was there for it. So
I think there is a pretty funny story to tell from that night as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it's funny today. Yeah, it wasn't funny at the time. Yeah. So
was that the one where after you got knocked out, everyone was a little bit worried about you, and then in order to sort of ease everyone's minds, you sort of said, "But how did the abs look?"
Sorry, guys. It's more important stuff. How did I look? My abs look good.
Sure.
It was a pretty scary moment. It was a big fight for me. I got caught pretty clean round 5 and lights out. I woke up in the change rooms. So a good 10 minutes, people were concerned about me. That was a pretty bad knockout.
Yeah.
But before that, the crowd was getting a pretty entertaining fight. We both
you probably had the upper hand in that one before that.
Yeah, well, but apparently I was up on the scorecards and that. But the guy, his name's Steve Vick. He's not your everyday fighter. He went on to prove
he's a gun.
He's a gun, mate. One of Australia's greatest kickboxers. I really believed I had the right style to beat him. My preparation for that fight was I did everything right. I shouldn't have, in my eyes, I shouldn't have lost that night, but he caught me clean, and this end of the story, because I got no comeback on that. I got caught clean.
That's it. Does that still play on your mind at all? Because I know you're a bit of a perfectionist.
No. He went on to become a world champion, and to his credit,
no shame in that whatsoever.
No. I mean, like I said, I thought I was doing pretty well up until then, and I was giving him all sorts of problems because of my style. I didn't think he'd be able to maintain that. He had a good kick knockout record. He had scored about 14 knockouts in his career before that fight. But I believe once I got through round 5, there was no way he was going to be able to keep up that sort of. My pressure was going to get to him. So anyway, that's how we went.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't.
Win some, you lose some, mate.
And talk about I've probably had three of my losses, so three title fight losses. I got no shame in any of them. I fought a great fighter in Steve Vick. And my best fight I've ever been in was in Western Australia. I fought a guy by the name of Steve since now, but he was that was a real tough fight for me. I went up in weight class. I went up with 2 weight divisions. I was a fill-in. It was scheduled. A friend of mine was meant to fight for an Australian title. The fight fell through. The promotion was going to collapse. I put my hand up for it. And
how much notice did you have?
That was 8 days. I think it was 9 days.
8 days notice.
8 days, yeah. So I had nothing to lose. It was an opportunity to fight for an Australian title. This is the mentality back in 1988. So a long time.
Your mentality.
Yeah. This was my mentality. So my trainer was, I finally convinced my trainer Paul to come with me to take the fight.
Mm.
We had the experience of another great trainer called Dave Hitchcock, who helped out in the corner. So I had a great team, and I gave it everything I could. I got stopped in the last round, in the 8th round, but up until then, it was a pretty entertaining fight.
Yeah, that's unreal.
And that was a hard fight for me, because coming up in weight, it was the first time fighting with leg kicks, where we actually allowed to kick the legs, because in the early days, all my fights kicks above the waist. So, and the crowd, they loved me on the way out. They didn't like me on the way in, but they loved me on the
You
way
earned the
out.
respect.
Yeah,
That must be a nice feeling.
That was a big fight.
Yeah. Back on the sort of the idea of pushing your goals, do you think it's do you take things day by day, or do you like to set a goal and go week by week or month by month, or how important is it to you to sort of have a structure to
I'm very
achieving your
structured.
goals?
If I've got a goal, normally I check it. Like if I've got to make weight, for example, this is where I need to be in week 7. So leading up, every Monday morning when I weigh in, I need to be here. I need to be, I'll keep an eye on things.
And you're taking that day by day, meal by meal sort of thing.
Yeah, but it'll be sensible to. I mean, if for my powerlifting, for example, I have my trainer doesn't want me training 10 days before the event, so there's no need for me to eat up big those last 7 days if I've got to make the weight. So that's pretty easy. I can just, but I do need to eat up for the big heavy sessions, because when I train powerlifting, I'm actually time poor. I don't have a lot of time to be at the gym and train, because I said, I spend a lot of time with my family, and with work, of course, I work 40 hours a week. I've got a few classes that I take. So one day a week, I'll train powerlifting, and I'll do all 3 lifts at the same time. So I'll practice my squats, my bench press, my deadlift at the same time.
Yeah.
So my point is, what I'm trying to do is make the most of my training in a short amount of time.
Yeah. So I like to think that everybody has a vice, though. I'm a good Italian boy, so I definitely love my food. Did you have a vice throughout your career, or did you have something that you sort of gave you that little bit of balance where you could let your hair down in a way?
I'm pretty lucky because I train pretty hard. I've got a fast metabolism, so I mean, eating is one of the greatest joys in life. I love pasta. I love all my.
I'm very jealous, mate.
So I get away with a lot of foods people wouldn't be happy about. But but that's because I train. I've always been training, so I've got a pretty fast metabolic rate, and I keep it active because I understand how my body works, and my food intake plays a big part of my life. So I'm very, very careful what goes into my body. I've always believed in making good, clean choices in my food intake. Sleep is very important. Minimize stress in my life. So some things are just not worth getting caught up over. So if you can,
absolutely,
within reason. So
So you've it's quite unbelievable that you've achieved things in kickboxing and then powerlifting as well, and you keep going for these titles, and now you're still going for titles. What is the one that you look back at and sort of think, oh, that's my best achievement?
Being married and having 3 healthy kids, I can't get better than that. I've got my kids are, it's amazing. They're just what can I say? They're well mannered. They're healthy.
So you think that's, in terms of your character and what you've achieved in your life, you'd say that's the thing that you're most proud of?
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty lucky guy. I've got 3 healthy kids who, well behaved and respected. I'm very blessed.
And I'm sure they're
excelling in
they're
sport. They're all excelling
well
in their sports and as well at the same time. At school, we're pretty lucky. I mean, it comes with challenges. All parents have challenges, But
they're lucky kids. I mean, they've got incredible role models in the form of yourself and your wife.
Yeah, my wife, she's amazing. These days, not that long ago. Let's go rewind 3 years on a family skiing holiday. She poor thing. She did the whole trifecta: her ACL, medial, and her meniscus all at the same time. Wow. So that was poor thing.
That's nasty.
She went through that. These days, she's competing in trail running. She does like 20-kilometer trail runs, some crazy elevations. Like she's just her mindset's amazing. And then she's also competed in Spartan race events and triathlons. So that's what I call a comeback.
What's your wife's name?
Joanne.
Let's give a shout out to Joanne because she sounds like she's keeping you on your toes, and she's a mastermind behind all of this.
She's quite a achiever. She doesn't like the limelight. I mean, I'd love to praise her more, but she wants to keep it all low key. So I'm proud of all my PT clients. I'll love giving them the shout out on social media and everything. But my wife says, please don't. She just wants me to just
Well, I'm actually I'm worried about what your kids might achieve with the guidance of yourself and Joanne. There could be some serious gold and silverware hanging up in the houses.
We're just grateful that they're well mannered and healthy, and they'll go through stages that where they'll give up sport and that. And so, yeah.
How would you compare the feeling of sort of winning titles for kickboxing as compared to sort of later on in life winning powerlifting titles?
Nothing compares to combat sports.
No,
that was it's no, combat sports 100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If I had to explain it, I mean, the beauty about powerlifting, though, it's pretty. You either lift or you don't lift it. There's nothing political about it. It's not in the hands of the judge. I mean, yes, there are judges.
Yeah.
But if you can't lift it, you can't lift it.
Yeah.
Right. Next, not only that, if you get it wrong, get off.
That's a good point. Yeah.
When I had one stage, my biggest lift, I pulled the deadlift. It was 210 kilo. I was 73 kilo at the time. But if you don't control the dead, if you don't control it, so I pulled it all the way up, and it was my biggest lift. But I stepped back. I lost my balance. I stepped back because I overextended. Like this, not only do I get 3 red lights, get off. Bad luck.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, you see. So I'm trying to say is you got to nail your, you got to really nail it.
They're two completely different animals.
So animals, but my kickboxing days and boxing days, I had a couple of pro boxing fights too. They were pretty special as far as
That's the thing with combat sports, though, isn't it? As we said before, there's nowhere to hide. You can't blame anyone else. Once you're in that ring,
bell goes. You're pretty much on your own. You got to make it. Yeah,
it's an unbelievable thing, and I think the reason why I love it so much is because it is the ultimate test of character. I think
you learn a lot about yourself training for a fight. You'll get some lonely moments when things just aren't going to plan, and you've got to stay composed and program your mind that you are going to get better. Because I'll be honest, this comp coming up Thursday, I've trained hard enough for this. I know I've told myself I'm gonna break the squat record, and then I'm gonna break my bench press record. I'm gonna bench. I've told myself enough times. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely pretty confident you will.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there's lonely moments and down moments. It hasn't all been great moments for you. Do you have any sort of particular memories that you can think of where you've hit a particular low point, or you've had to really fight through adversity?
The first experience I had was my comeback fight after winning 6 straight fights. I lost a fight which I shouldn't have, based on doing something silly before I took a couple of diuretics. I listened to a bodybuilding friend of mine about losing weight. Where bit of a long story, but look, I panicked before a weigh-in, and I was 2 kilo overweight. A friend of mine said, "Oh, you'll be fine, mate. Take a couple of these." And it really had an effect on me. I never urinated so much in my life. That really took a lot out of me. It affected my performance the next day, because we'd only have 24 weigh-ins before a 24-hour weigh-in before the fight. So there's plenty of time to replenish, but I still didn't have enough time. All my minerals, everything I lost was just
so you're pretty depleted.
I was depleted, and I gave everything that night. It's a close fight, but I just wasn't myself. But it was so bad. Finishing that fight, I just still kept urinating. So I took upon myself. I will never. I'm going to be accountable for everything. I started researching about my nutrition, my supplement intake, what my body needs. Because
were you a part of Max's at this stage?
No, this was very early on. Just before my.
Did that sort of maybe spark an interest in?
I've got a big interest in nutrition and supplementation. This is what I do for a living. I love
Max's protein for those of you guys.
I'm in Victoria and South Australia and Tasmania. I'm the front man for the Max's. I'm the sales manager for the company, and I look after all the accounts, and it's a job that I love. I'm part of a great team. We've been going for 30 years, and I'm about to start my 27th year. You won't hear that very often. So I'm very lucky to be part of a great company that's growing, and we're known for our quality products, and it makes my job a lot easier than selling a reputable
top of the line
brand.
sort of stuff. I've been using it for years. I had no idea that you were involved in it until I obviously started at FightFit. But it's a great product. I've been using it for years.
It's my full-time gig. That's what I love doing, and really proud of where we've traveled over the years, where we are now. Like this, it's a lot of companies have come and gone. We're still regarded as Australia's number one. Like you'd have to think, when you think Australian products, you'd have to say Max's, because we've outlasted everyone. We've got a good quality range of products. So
yeah, awesome. I think unless there's anything else that you wanted to bring up, man, I think I'm pretty much covered
no,
it.
I think you're going to ask about best achievements. And if
Yeah.
what remembers, I'll finish off on this. I remember walking into a newsagent one day, and there was a magazine called International Kickboxer, and they normally featured Australian fighters and this, and I've had a couple of articles in the past, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But one particular day I had Australia's toughest kickboxers, and I've picked it up and I'm looking through this, and I'm, wow, definitely worthy of all these guys, definitely worthy. And this fights, this moment really actually touched me, because I was actually listed amongst these, in the company of some great Australian kickboxers at the time, with some of my best mates in there, and I thought, wow, see that, I was pretty touched there. I thought that was a pretty cool,
I can imagine that'd be an unbelievable moment of reflection when you
it was only a magazine. It was only a magazine, but something about it, I thought, to be in the company amongst some of the greatest kickboxers in this country, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was never going to be listed as the most skillful fighter. I know that.
Yeah.
But to be amongst
you're still
toughest,
a very skillful fighter, though. I mean, unbelievably skillful fighter.
I never that.
Yeah, absolutely,
anyway,
mate. Any other particular stories that you've got in the bank before we finish up?
No, it's been great.
Yeah.
And this is pretty cool. A kid from Coburg, growing up in Coburg, has been asked to share his story. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
great
my
story.
Fitness journey, and I will just say, with fitness, it's so rewarding if you maintain fitness. I mean, just what my surgeon was blown away how quickly I recovered from my hernia. Not just that, quality of your life, the energy you're going to you'll attract more energetic people in your life. You'll just find that fitness is one thing that people should invest more in, because it's very rewarding in the long run.
Yeah, that's phenomenal advice. Thanks for that. Thank you so much for coming on. A few technical difficulties, but you've been an absolute trooper, mate, and I really appreciate your company today. Fascinating story, and I'd love to chat to you again sometime in the future. Thanks heaps, Tony.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you so much.
You're a champion.
And good luck, obviously, for
Thursday. Yep, we'll be done. Everything's done.